awake and get it right. But I have my doubts, yeah. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. It's not for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubt that we're coming down. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubt. To wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubt. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubt. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So no wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think, well, I lie awake and contemplate at night.
Revelation 17. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-coloured beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet colour, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have 1 mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords, and King of kings, and they that are with him are called, and chosen, and faithful. And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
Good evening. It's January 26th, 2015. Let me turn my audio up here just a little bit. If there's a little bit of background noise, I apologize. Got a little bit of nervousness my first night back. It's been a little while. That's the way it happens. Wow. I started back where we left off on Revelations, so I still had that bookmarked, and I just started back there. And it says a lot. I would ask, for those so inclined, please say prayers for myself, and I would ask again to say prayers for Jen. Wow, just that reminded me of her. Although I'm not comparing her to the woman that's in Revelation 17 by any means. She needs prayers. She really does. We all do. So anyway, wow, other good stuff that came out that I noticed today is News in 2 Minutes by FullSpectrumSurvival. They started up again today, so that works out just perfect. So I've got a little bit of news for you. Hopefully I can go through it without too many problems. It's been a while. I guess without further ado, we'll do Suspicious Observers, News in 2 Minutes, and then we'll get on to what I have for you. So without any further ado, here is Suspicious Observers. Enjoy.
Good morning, folks. We'll begin with the massive plasma filament on the northern hemisphere of the sun. The trailing portions appear to disengage and release out into space, leaving only the Earth-facing portion, which will begin to directly face Earth tonight, but may indeed be far enough north on the sun to evade too much concern. The last 24 hours show anything but a calm surface. Even without major eruptions and ejections, there is still a good bit to see. But first, let's go to the solar wind, because the telemetry is on the move this morning, seeing density and speed of the solar plasma rising, throwing a right hook at the electrons in near-Earth space and increasing the activity in Earth's magnetic shield, something to watch. The coronal holes, dark down south. The pinched opening coming that we discussed yesterday should be visible at the left side, but it may again be too blocked to be relevant. We're seeing some low-level X-ray flashing this morning in 131 angstroms. Nothing major, but the sun's long nap down into B flare range appears over for the moment. and here's why. Take a look up at the Earth scale. The sunspots emerging from behind it were not there yesterday in present form. Some basic umbras were developing, but now we have a solid morphing active region with mixing potential. That's almost a delta spot up there. Back down to our big group from previous days. Still got good size. And now we can see a positive umbral development at the negative trailing portion. Gamma class is awarded with moderate delta potential today. Also got some new sunspots cresting on the north. The current flaring downturn is only temporary. So when you look at the planets, it reveals one heck of a next 2 weeks. Venus and Mars will heliocentrically conjoin in a few days, and at the same time, Mercury and the Earth are conjoining. Flare uptick is expected. The Mercury lineup starts a geocentric schedule as well that sees Earth between Jupiter and the Sun at the start of February, and at that same time, Mercury, Venus, and Mars align in the inner system. Largest quakes of the day were in the West Pacific, but the most interesting was in Canada. Even at 4.3, this is well above average and a rare tremor, and given that the USGS took the lowest of all readings given for the event, I'd say she'll claim that top spot. The top article of the day is about a toxic algae bloom off Hong Kong. If unfamiliar, this read can illuminate issues with such blooms worldwide, and the pictures aren't too shabby either. Article is linked for you below. Well, how do you get a temperature delta like this? Those are some odd patterns of change in just 24 hours. It happens because we've got two lows in the U.S. regulating their areas, pulling heat up the leading eastern edge of the systems, and cold dripping down across the north and western edges. Together, they make for a winter storm warning in the east tonight. This has already been a nightmare for 3 days as it's crossing the country, and it's not done yet. Europe. The lone comment for weather today is the convergence hooking down from the North Atlantic low. The storm production here may be rivaled only by the temperature shift on the other side of that convergence. Here's a look at that monsoon season we've been talking about for Northern Australia. How you like them apples? The convergence from yesterday indeed has reached the South Island of New Zealand, while that broad air mass collision to the north remains, along with a low churning up in the west. All those areas have something to care about tonight and into tomorrow. Over at suspiciousobservers.org, deeper look and fly on the wall are getting really good less than 1 month into 2015. Things are changing fast, and members who have been slacking have some catching up to do. You're seeing the current conditions and shots of our star to close. It's 6:25 a.m. Eastern Time, 3:25 in the West. That's the news. Eyes open. No fear. Be safe, everyone.
And that was Suspicious Observers for the day. As always, the link is down in the About tab if you want to go check out the video full screen or whatnot. Subscribe to his channel. Definitely does a good job every single day. All right, let me go ahead and get on to news in 2 minutes. I am so glad they are back because they cover more information than I could possibly dream of doing in an hour, and they do it usually in just under 3 minutes. Today is a little bit longer. It was their first day back, so enjoy. I know I'm sure glad they're back. The link for them is also down in the About tab, and if you're not subscribed to them, they are definitely somebody to subscribe to. So here you go, Full Spectrum Survival.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the News in 2 Minutes, bringing you all of the news that you need to know. Let's begin. World leaders are thought to be increasing economic and political pressure on Moscow after anti-government fighting groups renewed an offensive against the Ukrainian government with a rocket attack that is said to have killed dozens and injured hundreds more at a strategic government-held port within the country. Residents are claiming that fears of a large anti-separatist offensive or the start to an acknowledged international campaign is leaving many too scared to walk the streets even in the daytime, with some claiming that they are already being forced to choose sides in this increasingly deadly civil war. Following the recent outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus across much of the African continent, infectious disease researchers are questioning whether public facilities throughout the continent are reopening to large public gatherings too soon, even in light of a general waning of the disease, with some cautioning that a resurgence of the outbreak could still happen at any time. In other viral news, newly reported cases of the H7N9 variation of the avian flu are being confirmed across China as health officials in the country scramble to determine the cause of the cases, with officials warning that at any moment the disease may find a suitable host that would allow a rapid mutation, enabling airborne communication of what could become the next deadly pandemic virus. Riot control squads are said to be patrolling the streets within Egypt following a widespread increase in anti-government protests that led to clashes killing at least 18 people over the weekend. Contrary to official numbers, protesters within the country are decrying the fatality reporting, where they say scores have been killed and many more left mortally wounded following the crackdown. Security officials in the region warned that anti-government volatility continues to exist following the 4th anniversary of the nation's proclaimed Arab Spring Revolution, with some officials warning that rumors of nationwide unrest and a renewed uprising may lead the country deeper into violence and overall decay. Environmental scientists are commending a growing trend in independent radiation testing throughout British Columbia as oceanic current models continue to show an expected increase of radiation from the 2011 meltdown and continued release of radioactive wastewater into the Pacific Ocean. Scientists continue to warn of the dangers that hotspots of radiation pose to both the marine life of the Pacific Ocean that live within the projected hotspots and to mammalian life forms that consume the radioactively tainted material. And to wrap things up, environmentalists are warning against the release of millions of genetically modified mosquitoes that officials are set to loose within the southern United States, leading some scientists to call for a complete ban on the dangerous practice of so-called genetic enhancement worldwide. Anti-Islamic protests are taking place throughout Germany, with researchers warning that anti-sectarian movements may be increasing throughout the world. Blizzard conditions throughout the northern U.S. have caused panicked residents to bulk purchase, leaving many citizens without access to staple goods as the storm hits. And Islamic-leaning religious fighting is increasing heavily throughout the world, leading to martial law in some of the affected regions. And that's it for this episode of News in 2 Minutes. Check back tomorrow for more news that the aware need the most. This week's News in 2 Minutes is brought to you by silver-investor.com, home of the Morgan Report, a global resource for serious metals investors. Visit silver-investor.com and sign up for the highly acclaimed newsletter today. And campingsurvival.com, offering both disaster preparedness and wilderness survival items. Stay ready and visit campingsurvival.com today.
Alrighty, that's your News in 2 Minutes. I would check out those links that he gave at the end. I'm not advertising for them or don't represent them, but I'll tell you what, it's probably a good idea to keep a close eye on precious metals if you can afford them. You know, beyond getting the important things like water filtration and food and whatnot, it would probably be a good idea to get some, especially silver, I'm thinking. I don't really notice it. It really didn't go crazy today. I was just looking at the app on my phone. I know I've been keeping a real close eye on it. In about a week's time, gold went up close to $100, and you know, you can expect it. We've got some economic news that I have for you. There's a lot of volatility right now in the economy worldwide, and they just keep. In the U.S., they just keep propping it up and propping it up. The numbers they give are absolutely bogus. You could go to the Baltic Raw Index, and you could keep an eye on that. It's a good way to keep an eye on how things are really going. Those numbers can't be played with as much as the other numbers. So let's go ahead and get on with what I have for you. Try and do this the best I can. The first story I get is rebels tied to blackout across most of Pakistan. And if you've been following me for a little while, you know that I have been warning for quite some time about something to do with our power grid. I suspect either an EMP or some other type of event to take down our power grid. So I thought it was important to cover this story. So towns and cities across Pakistan plunged into darkness early Sunday when what officials said was an attack by militants on a transmission line short-circuited the national electricity grid, presenting a new indictment of the government's faltering efforts to solve the country's chronic power crisis. Now, mind you, we've been hearing about the power crisis here in the United States with our old grid. It would not take much to take it down. Emergency efforts to end the blackout, widely described as Pakistan's worst ever, resulted in a partial restoration of power in the capital, Islamabad, and the most populous city, Karachi, by Sunday evening. Even so, 80% of the country remained without power, including the wow, me and my talking today. You got to let me get back into this. Provincial, that's probably pronounced wrong, capitals of Lahore, wow, Peshawar, and Quetta, an official said. I like the United States stories because I can actually pronounce the stuff. The Minister for Water and Power, that guy, blamed separatist rebels in the western province of Baluchistan, who, he said, had blown up a critical transmission line. But experts said the attack only highlighted the growing vulnerability in Pakistan's power grid, which has come under severe strain since the electricity crisis began in earnest about 7 years ago. The blackout was also another blow for Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, who government already spent much of the week grappling with a severe fuel shortage that closed gasoline stations across Punjab, the country's most politically powerful province. Wow. A hastily convened government inquiry into the gas line shortages, which lasted several days, laid the blame on the State Oil Regulatory Authority, but the sight of lines miles long for gasoline at a time of low global oil prices only deepened public impatience with Mr. Sharif, who was faced with the crisis on his return from a visit to Saudi Arabia. It's kind of ridiculous. You can go ahead, the links down there, and read the rest of this if you'd like. One line. And I believe when they did the investigation in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, they had concluded, I want to say it was like 7 transformers that could be taken out. If these 7 transformers were taken out, we'd lose the entire grid across the United States. So it's something to think about, something to be concerned about. I wanted to cover this story because of that. And they say there a lot of the same things we've been hearing in our country. Again, that the grid's just overloaded and this reason and that reason. You know, it's crazy, you know. And we still have so much nuclear power, which is proving to become, you know, more and more dangerous as time goes on. And we're shutting down coal plants, and it's just, it's really, really crazy what's going on in this country. It's almost like they're begging for something like this to happen on a large scale. So, all right, let's go ahead and get on with other news. Talk about the Greek election, and there's a lot to do with the Greek election and what's going on over there, and the economy, and it's just about crazy as everything else. Greek election adds economic uncertainty across Europe, David Cameron says. Not that I, you know, really trust a lot of what David Cameron has to say, but or any politician for that matter. But I would say that we need to keep a close eye on all the countries. Wow, there is just so much going on in the economy. I could probably do just a show itself over what's gone on in the last, say, 2 weeks with the economy. You know, Russia's starting to pull out of the petrodollar, or they have pulled out of the petrodollar. We got the BRICS nations starting up. I mean, there's just so much going on. The U.S. dollar is probably headed towards some pretty big trouble pretty fast. So anyway, let's see what they got to say. Britain's Conservative Prime Minister David Cameron predicted that the election victory of Greece's radical left-wing Syriza party would create economic uncertainty across Europe, while left-of-center parties welcomed the results as a message that the European Union should change its economic policy. Belgium's finance minister said Sunday that he saw some room to discuss the modalities of the Greek debt program with the other Eurozone nations after the victory by Syriza, which seeks to end painful austerity measures. We haven't even started really seeing that so much yet here. It's coming really fast. Johan van Overveld, said on the eve of the Eurozone finance ministers meeting that we can talk modalities, we can talk debt restructuring, but the cornerstone that Greece must respect the rules of monetary union that must stay as it is. He told VRT Network that even if some things could be changed to accommodate the demands of Syriza, it is impossible to fundamentally change things. Let's see. The willingness of the Eurozone minister to contemplate some changes in the Greek program further in the wake of the left-wing victory underscored a realization that the long-held policies of austerity, first and foremost, were crumbling further. And he had a tweet here that said the Greek election will increase economic uncertainty across Europe. That's why the UK must stick to our plan, delivering security at home. You know, there's a lot that's going to happen when the U.S. dollar falls, and that just kind of reminds me of it. I would really expect a possible invasion. You know, that mentioned security. I really think that we're headed for some problems, not just money problems, but a whole list of problems that will go along with that. And like I say, I don't think it's too far off. I think it's something we better keep a watchful eye for. Anyway, the socialist group in the European Parliament considered Syriza's victory a watershed and a sign that the Eurozone economic policy would have to change. The renegotiation of the Greek debt, and in particular the extension of the terms of its bailout, should no more be considered as a taboo, said its leader Gianna Pittella. In Germany, Bundesbank President Jens Wiedmann told ARD Network that he hoped the Greek government will not make promises it cannot keep and the country cannot afford. He said that as long as Greece does not fully clean up its public finances, any change in the debt program would only have a short-lived impact. But Germany's opposition, the Left Party, called the Syriza victory a sign of hope for a new start in Europe. Left Party co-chairs Katja Kipping and Bernd Riesinger, something like that, said in a statement that the results was a blow to the policies dictated to Greece by the Troika of creditors, the European Central Bank, European Commission, and International Monetary Fund, and the German government. Anytime you hear International Monetary Fund, you should cringe a little bit. It's probably a good idea. You can go ahead and just cringe. The Greek election isn't just a chance departure for Greece, but for the whole of Europe. It provides an opportunity for democratic awakening and a fundamental change of direction in the European Union, the statement said. So anyway, that's the story, as David Cameron says. And, you know, I'll tell you what, it's... If the government isn't trying to get out of the global banking system and away from this International Monetary Fund and all that, they aren't even seeking independence, for that matter. I mean, that's what Russia, it would appear that's what Russia and some other countries are doing. They're trying to get away from that because it's just no good. And I mean, the money is not, it's backed by paper. That's all. It's just backed by paper. You know, these countries that have their monetary system backed by precious metals and other things, they're the ones that's going to come out on top of this, because there will be a total global economic collapse. It's except for these countries that are preparing ahead of time before it actually happens. They're the only ones that's going to be okay. And I still don't really understand it as to, you know, why is it that we have to fear this? Why does it have to be this way? Why can't we just, I don't know, like reset, do something? Because who are we owing all this money to? It's the bankers. It doesn't make any sense. And it's the same people that own the majority of the wealth in the world. Why is it that they are trying to drain us completely dry of this paper? Because that's all it is paper. It's an illusion. And it makes no sense why everybody has to suffer so much all because of this illusion. And for them to, I don't know, that they're not even after the money anymore. They're after resources like water and everything else. That's what they're after now. Now they're after power and control because they've already got way more money than they could possibly ever use or need. It's ridiculous. And we really need to start worrying about each other and paying attention to each other and taking care of each other, because each other are the only ones we're going to be able to rely on when all this goes down. I promise you. So I wanted to cover something with the economy because it's so important. It's so vital to what's going on in the world right now. So let's get on to a little bit of U.S. news. And again, I don't know if this is propaganda or what exactly is going on here. We'll read the story and we'll go from there. 3 Russians charged in spy plot in New York City. A Russian espionage ring tried to recruit college co-eds and other New York City women to serve as intelligence sources following the stunning arrest and deportation of sexy spy Anna Chapman. Federal authorities revealed Monday as they arrested one of the spies. But the middle-aged secret agent complained in one tape conversation the spy cell couldn't get close enough to the gals it targeted to charm them into service for Mother Russia, court papers revealed. FBI agents secretly recorded Igor Sporshiev, 40, grousing about his lack of success with the ladies during the April 2013 conversation inside the supposedly secure New York City office of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, also known as the SVR. I have lots of ideas about such girls, but these ideas are not actionable because they do not allow you to get close enough. Sporshiev whined in Russian, according to the court papers. And in order to be close, you either need to F them or use other levers to influence them to execute my requests. So when you tell me about the girls, in my experience, it's very rare that something workable will come of it, he added. Sporshiev, who worked undercover while posing as a Russian trade representative, was among 3 Russian nationals charged in a scheme to gather information on potential U.S. sanctions against Russia and American efforts to develop alternative energy sources. All they got to do is turn on CNN. Court papers say the feds began investigating the spy ring after cracking the Chapman case, which also involved 9 other deep cover operatives who were booted along with her in 2010. In addition to hearing Sporshiev talk about targeting Big Apple girls, agents listened to fellow SBR agent Victor, Poddenby. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. He's 27, though. Lament that his work wasn't nearly as glamorous as he thought it would be, and it didn't even involve assuming a new identity. The fact that I'm sitting with a cookie right now, chief enemy spot, F, he allegedly said in Russian. Wow. Now, one point of what I thought then, not even close. Movies about James Bond. Of course, I wouldn't fly helicopters, but pretend to be someone else at a minimum. Wow, that was hard to read. Sporshiev and that guy, who posed as an attaché with the Russian mission to the United Nations, fled the U.S. last year in 2013, respectively, according to the Manhattan federal court complaint. But alleged SBR agent, wow, the names just don't get any easier. This guy's 39, though, I can tell you that. He was nabbed by a team of FBI agents outside the A&P supermarket in Riverdale around 11:45 a.m. Monday, according to a witness and sources who confirmed to the Post what happened. Man, those names. Beryakov, that's probably somewhere close, didn't put up any fight as the agents handcuffed him and drove him away in convoy of 2 unmarked cars. Doesn't matter. According to the feds, Beryakov operated under non-official cover, known as being a NOC, as a worker at the Russian bank in New York. The job made him an extremely valuable intelligence asset because he wasn't subject to the same scrutiny as official representatives of the Russian government, the feds said. The bank where Beryakov works isn't identified in court papers, but his online LinkedIn page says he's a deputy representative at the state-owned, oh my goodness, That bank, a former Soviet financial institution that serves as Russia's development bank. Buryakov is accused of gathering information for the SVR at the direction of Sportschev and passing it along during a series of covert meetings set up through the use of code words so he wouldn't be seen at the SVR's New York office. Sportschev and Paladin, would then, you just got to work with me, folks, would then analyze the messages and report back to SVR headquarters in Moscow, according to the feds. As part of his alleged intelligence gathering, Buryakov allegedly met with FBI confidential source who pretended to represent a wealthy investor who wanted to develop casinos in Russia. Now I'm starting to stumble over my own words that I can say. During a series of meetings, including one in Atlantic City, Buryakov allegedly asked for and took U.S. government documents labeled for official use only that the source claimed to have obtained from a federal contract. Buryakov faces up to 15 years in the slammer on charges of conspiracy and illegally acting as an agent of a foreign government. He was presented in Manhattan federal court Monday and ordered held without bail. Neighbors living in Buryakov's brick home in Riverdale were shocked by the charges against him. He is such a nice, quiet guy, one neighbor said. We always hear that of people. You know, he was such a nice, quiet boy. You know, we never hear, oh, well, he was loud, he raised hell and partied everything. You know, you never hear that. He's the last person I would expect to be a Russian spy. Well, yeah, that's probably why he was a Russian spy. A doorman at the Madison Avenue building where that bank has its offices refused to let a reporter inside or pass along a request for comment. So, and then the links down in the About tab, you can check out the court papers here. I don't know whether or not, you know, it's really hard to say. You know, they're pretty out and open. I thought the U.S. government was pretty out and open before they put in these sanctions. So I really don't know why they would need a spy over here. All they need is a television set. I mean, and a cable connection. That's about it. You can tell what Obama's got planned because they announced it on the news way before they put the sanctions in. And what's the importance anyway? I mean, really, I would think, you know, military weapons and stuff like that might be a little bit more of importance than these sanctions that Russia's sidestepping anyway, because they're getting out of the petrodollar. They're getting, you know, they're starting their own total banking system over there. They're working with the BRICS nations and all that other good stuff. So really, what's the point? I don't get it. Sometimes you kind of have to read between the lines, and it's kind of hard for me to read between these lines because I don't understand what these guys would really be doing over here or what the point would be or anything else. So your guess is as good as mine. I thought I would bring you the story, though. It does have some relation to the economy, although, again, I don't know how much we can trust the official story. So on to the West Coast. I thought this was probably important to cover. Mass death of seabirds in western U.S. is unprecedented. Probably not going to read through this. It's a rather long story, but in the storm debris littering a Washington state shoreline, Bonnie Wood saw something grisly: the mangled bodies of dozens of scraggly young seabirds. Walking a half mile along the beach at Twin Harbor State Park on Wednesday, Wood spotted more than 130 carcasses of juvenile Cassin's auklets, the blue-footed, palm-sized victims of what is becoming one of the largest mass die-offs of seabirds ever recorded. It was so distressing, recalled Wood, a volunteer who patrols Pacific Northwest beaches looking for dead or stranded birds. They were just everywhere. Every 10 yards, we'd find another 10 bodies of these sweet little things. Cassin's auklets are tiny diving seabirds that look like puffballs. They feed on animal plankton and build their nests by burrowing in the dirt on offshore islands. Their total population from the Baja Peninsula to Alaska's Aleutian Islands is estimated at somewhere between 1 and 3.5 million. Last year, beginning about Halloween, thousands of juvenile auklets started washing ashore dead from California's Farallon Islands to Haida Gwaii, also known as the Queen Charlotte Islands off central British Columbia. Since then, the deaths haven't stopped. Researchers are wondering if the die-off might spread to other birds or even fish. This is just massive, massive, unprecedented, said Julia Parrish, a University of Washington seabird ecologist who oversees the Coastal Observation and Seabird Survey Team, a program that has tracked West Coast seabird deaths for almost 20 years. We may be talking about 50,000 to 100,000 deaths so far. I don't know how, yeah, it's a rather long story. Wow, I don't know why. I really don't know why this is going on. There's been so many birds, there's been so many fish and everything else that are just dying off. And I really don't, you know, there's a lot of things that's suspected from messing with the like harp-like antennas, because there's several of them, not just harp. Harp's actually small fries compared to the newer equipment that's out there. So I really don't know exactly how much to be able to say on this. I don't get it. You know, they were talking about British Columbia and stuff like that. I really don't know. I mean, I think about the radiation from Fukushima, and it's like, no, I really don't think that would be the cause of this. I would think somebody by now would have taken radiation readings and would know whether or not they were irradiated or not. I'm just at a loss as to try and figure out what it is that's causing these mass bird die-offs, and whether it's natural or whether it's a man-made issue. Again, there's been thoughts, you know, that it's again, these harp type antenna systems. They've been messing with a lot of stuff to do with geoengineering and all that other good stuff. So it's hard to say if that has to do with it. You know, we know the Earth is doing a lot of crazy different things, especially, you know, with the pole. That's why right now the East Coast right now, the Northeast Coast, is just getting absolutely slammed. And a lot of that is due to our pole shifting and the Earth's wobble. And that's kind of what's going on. That's why they're getting nailed with that storm. BP Earth Watch, as you all know, I follow him. He did a video on it earlier on the storm out there, and he talks a little bit about the pole shift and its relation to it. So, you know, that the weather's been really, really crazy and all that. So is that responsible? I really don't know. I really wished I could come up with some better answers for these bird and fish die-offs and whatnot, because it's kind of scary, to be honest. It really is. I mean, there is just so much going on. So let's get on with the last story that I have here, now that I got my windows all covered up. I thought this was kind of interesting, and Dabu actually did this story earlier. So, a new painkiller found in coffee, stronger than morphine. I thought it would be interesting to go over this. Coffee contains a protein that has an effect similar to morphine. Specialists at the University of Brasilia and Brazilian agriculture research company Embrapa have discovered. Moreover, the new substance effects last longer. The research was conducted by Felipe Vinicki of the Molecular Biology Department at the University of Brasilia, UNB, in cooperation with the Genetics and Biotechnology Division of State-Owned Agriculture and Livestock Research Company in Embrapa. The research involved searching for and combining coffee genes to affect quality. In the course of study, the scientists managed to find new substances in the product. While analyzing the coffee genome sequence, the corresponding proteins, Vinicki and his research advisor, Carlos Blanc Jr., found some proteins similar to those typical for humans. So they decided to synthesize their structural analogs and test their properties. The researchers identified previously unknown fragments of the protein peptides in coffee that have an effect similar to morphine. In other words, they have an analgesic and sedative activity. the Embrapa Company press release said. Both the university and Embrapa applied for patents to the Brazilian government for 7 proteins they called opioid peptides. Hope I said that right. The peptides have a positive differential. Their effects last longer in experiments with laboratory mice, the press release said. According to the scientists, it lasts up to 4 hours and no side effects were recorded. Embrapa believes their discovery has a great biotechnological potential for the health food industry and could help to minimize stress in animals at slaughterhouses. In 2004, Embrapa succeeded in determining the sequence of coffee's functional genome, and the discovery made it possible to combine coffee genes with a view to improving the quality of coffee grains. Thanks to this achievement, the researchers managed to discover the new peptides. Embrapa is a state-owned company affiliated with the Brazilian Ministry of Agriculture. Embrapa conducts agricultural research in many areas, including livestock and crops. So there you have it. Wow, that would be really nice if they could get that going for humans as a new form of a whether it be a sedative, whether it be a painkiller. It sounds like it would be a much better alternative than what we have. I mean, morphine, as we all know, is extremely addictive, extremely dangerous. So is hydrocodone, and I'm trying to think of the what that's derived from. But yeah, sounds like it's a better deal. We really need to come up with something better. We really do. The big pharma companies, they really have nightmares with the medications that they use. The side effects for them are just unbelievable. And we've seen how big pharma wants to fight much better alternatives that people find, whether it be anything from using the oil from marijuana to treat cancer to electronic cigarettes. The FDA and big pharma and those that they pay in the government have been fighting to keep these dangerous current methods in place, and it just doesn't make sense. So I thought I'd bring that out there. It does look like there's some hope. Unfortunately, I wouldn't expect to see it in this country. They've got a pretty good stranglehold on the legislative branch of this country. So, it doesn't matter if they found, a plant that cured every single disease. You could bet they would ban it in this country the first chance they got. It's just the way they are. It's just the way they do things in this country. So that's what I've got for you today. I'm about 8 minutes shy of an hour, but that's all right. The first day back. Wow, I'm glad to be back. I appreciate everybody that watches the Watchman News. And wow, let's see if we can get back on this horse and do it right. So as I've said, during the day, I know I only did a couple today. There wasn't a lot of stuff that I ran across that I thought, I really need to get on and I need to do a report on that. So, but during the day, I will be doing reports of important news that comes out, important information that comes out, and then I'll be back and do the live 7 to 8 show. Right now, I've been doing the reports live, so if you're subbed to the channel, you might see me pop up, however you get it. You might see me pop up throughout the day live. A lot of times it's only going to be a 5-10 minute video or whatnot, but you're more than welcome to listen to it live or catch it as a recording. That's what I got for you. May God bless you. May he walk with you. Be one with your spirit. I do love you all, and I'm very happy to be back. Have a good evening, folks.